much for joining me back here. Today we are going to do a little bit of a different video in preparation for Valentine's Day. I'm actually pretty excited for this Valentine's Day. This will make Ethan and my third Valentine's Day together, like as a couple, but this will be our first time actually getting to spend it together. The other two Valentine's Days that we've had together, he's been in some kind of training. And then I lived back home in West Virginia, so since we're finally living together and we're married and he's not at a training or anything right now, this is our first time getting to spend it together. I will not be spending it reading. We're actually planning on celebrating by going to like in a zoo or an aquarium or something like that. Here is the baby, in case you're curious. I feel like I get bigger every day. So yeah, I'm getting to the point where my shirts are starting to do the thing to where they kind of stick up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm feeling good and he's good. So for today's video, I want to go through my bookshelf and show you guys every book that I have that has some kind of romance in it. Let me just preface by saying that there are a ton, way too many books on my bookshelf that I haven't read yet. So some of them I know will have romance in it. Some of them I'm not sure at all. So some of the books here on my bookshelf might have romance in it and I might not mention it in this video. Some of them I think have romance in it and so I will mention it in this video, but I don't know for sure. I'll be sure to tell you guys which books I have read and haven't read. That way you can kind of know for sure which ones do and do not. Just another little preface real quick. I am not a big exclusive romance reader. I don't have anything against the romance genre or anything like that. And I used to read a bunch of romance books specifically in that genre. But as I've grown and as I've gotten older and my tastes have developed and changed, I find myself liking romance built into other genres. So like for example, my favorite is fantasy novels with romance built into the fantasy novel. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff. So that's what a lot of these are. So if you're here for recommendations of just exclusive romance novels, this is not the video for you, but I figured it'd be fun. So let's get into it. So first up we have the entire Twilight series. I didn't pull down the extra books that I have for Twilight. I was such a Twilight fan when I was in middle school and high school. So yeah. For those of you who don't know, Twilight is a triangle romance. There's a love triangle within it between a human, a vampire, and a werewolf. So there you go. Next up is the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the second book. This is The Time of Contempt. I let Ethan's friend borrow the first book, but there's definitely romance within this series. This is an adult fantasy series. Illuminae by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I've only read the first book, but this first book does have romance in it. The Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. This is a YA dystopian trilogy that everybody knows about, and I love it. The Mortal Instrument series by Cassandra Clare. I have never actually read these. I've never read any of Cassandra Clare, but from what I hear, her books do have romance in it, and this one does too. This series does. Considering I have the whole box set, and I've had it for years, I should probably go ahead and read this. I forget what the name of this trilogy is actually called, but it's Patrick Rothfuss, and The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear are the only two out right now. We're waiting on the third book. I haven't actually read The Wise Man's Fear, but I do remember there being a little bit of romance in The Name of the Wind. Not a whole lot, but there is a little bit. This is an adult fantasy series too, by the way. I don't remember if I said that. The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. So you have Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. This again is a YA duology, and the romance within it isn't that explicit. So if you're looking for something that the romance is not the focus at all, I would recommend these. A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I guess now, by Sarah J Maas. This is usually categorized within the YA section of bookstores and stuff. It's more so new adult. The romance within this is pretty explicit at times. So, Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Again, there's a little bit of romance within this. It's not very explicit or anything like that. I need to finish the series. I've only read the first book. The Trill series by Amanda Hawking. It is Switch, Torn, and Ascend. I have never heard anybody else talk about this here on BookTube. I really enjoyed this series when I was in high school. I think I read it in 10th grade, 9th or 10th grade. So it's been a while since I've read it. And honestly, I've gone back and reread excerpts from it. And the writing is not as good as I remember it being. But that's after going through college and stuff like that. However, the storyline is still fun, I guess you could say. I would definitely consider these more of fluffy books, you know, if you're just looking for something with romance that you don't really want to get anything literary from. These are a good option. The Folk of the Air series by Holly Black. I just finished this series this year. Actually, The Queen of Nothing came out last year in 2019 at the very end, and then I read it partially in December and finished it in January. So I just finished a series. It's a YA series. There is romance in it. Again, not explicit though, so if you're looking for something like that, here you go. And this is a fae novel too. So the Fifth Wave trilogy by Rick Yancey. This kind of has to do with an alien invasion on Earth, and I remember finding it very interesting yet kind of confusing. I really need to reread through these, but there is romance in these. Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I really enjoyed this book last year. This was one of my favorites of the year. This is an adult novel. I would consider it adult fantasy, and the romance can be a little explicit at times. So, Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. It's been years since I read this book. It's an adult fiction novel, maybe even adult romance. I really am not sure how it's categorized specifically, but there is romance in it, and I do remember at least one part is kind of explicit. So, Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. I really enjoyed the Star series of this, so I bought the book. And if I remember correctly, it's been years since I've read this, but it actually follows pretty good. I think there were some things that were a little different, but overall, it's good and it has romance in it. And it's an adult novel. It would be boring if you don't enjoy adult novels, but. Huntress by Megan Spooner. This is a YA retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Scythe by Neil Shusterman. There is romance within this book. It's not my favorite romance, I'll be honest with you. I honestly think the book could have done without the romance, but it's there and it's not explicit. So, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Again, this was very popular a couple years ago, back when I was in high school. It is a YA fiction novel, I guess. I would definitely consider this a romance novel. So if you're really invested in romance, maybe this one's for you. A Bend in the Road by Nicholas Sparks. This is an adult romance novel in the romance genre. The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks. Again, adult fiction, again, in the romance genre. The Wedding by Nicholas Sparks. I'm pretty sure this is the sequel to The Notebook. I remember really enjoying it. I haven't read it since like high school or middle school, I'm not as sure. Again, adult fiction, romance genre. This is actually a 2-in-1 book that my aunt got me years ago. It's Even Now and Even After by Karen Kingsbury. This is like a Christian romance book, but it is romance. And for some reason, I remember this being sad. I don't have any recollection of what actually happens in this book, except that I remember it's romance and I remember being sad for some reason. So there you go. Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. This is another YA Beauty and the Beast retelling. I didn't particularly care for this one, but there is romance in it. Now we are moving on to my TBR shelf. So I have not read most of what I am getting ready to say and show you guys, but I do kind of have an idea of some of the ones that have romance in them and some of them that don't. So first up on my TBR shelf is the Water Song trilogy, no, series, I guess. Yeah. Water Song series by Amanda Hocking. Again, I haven't read these, but I'm pretty sure there's some romance in them. A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, you definitely know that this has some romance in it. It's adult fiction, adult fantasy actually, so it is explicit. The Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I only have the first 2 books, but pretty sure these have romance in them. I'm pretty sure pretty sure her and Sarah J. Maas always have some kind of romance within their books. I'm pretty sure. Don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure. The Selection series by Kiera Cass. I only have the first book. I haven't read it. Bought it years ago. But I'm pretty sure this book has romance in it. I'm pretty sure the whole series is kind of based on a romance type of story. So, A Curse Through Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I don't know how to say that name. I started this book and made it, actually I used my dust jacket as a bookmark, made it 33 pages in. Haven't finished it because I ended up picking up something else. Not because I disliked it, I just wasn't feeling it at the time, but this is another Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it has romance in it. This is a YA novel too, by the way. And lastly, a Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I have more books down there. I don't have the first book or an actual Throne of Glass. I don't have that one either. So I just decided to pick one up. But again, I'm pretty sure most of Sarah J Maas's books have romance in them. So yeah, those are all the books on my bookshelf that have romance in them in some kind of fashion. It was interesting to see how many actually had romance in them. Like I say, I enjoy romance in my books. I'm just not an exclusive romance genre person. I like it built into other stories. There might also be other books on my shelf that have romance in them that I'm just not aware of. Some of them might have romance that I read years ago and I don't remember the romance. But overall, this is just a kind of fun way to kind of reflect on what's actually on my shelf. And I thought it was a good time to do it since it's Valentine's Day. I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day, whether you are with someone or not. If you are, enjoy time with your partner. If you're not, take advantage of that discounted candy and chocolate after the holiday's over. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. Maybe go look and see what books on your shelf have romance in them if you can remember. It was pretty fun. So yeah, thank you for watching. We'll be back here next time, guys. See ya! Illuminae Bay